Hello and welcome to the Film Ireland podcast. I'm Gemma Creagh and I'm chatting with Tanya Doyle about her wonderful documentary Eat, Sleep, Cheer, Repeat. So first we'll have a listen to the trailer here.
We're Team Ireland and we're a cheerleading team representing the country.
God, I didn't think we had cheerleading teams in Ireland.
We're generation one of Irish cheer.
Whereas Florida for cheerleading is like getting to the Olympics.
I think that's every cheerleader's dream.
Irish people are taught to be quite humble, and we always play down talent.
This is a team where everyone actually has to work together.
Taylor lost a tooth. Still beautiful.
Are you putting on lashes?
You're wearing heels, you don't talk to me. We're very proud of the lady you've become. Some days not as much as others. Best of luck with adulthood.
I remember what it was like, feeling like the world was out there and far away, and trying to find my spot in it seemed sometimes impossible. I'm not here as your best friend. I'm not here as a father figure.
You should never have had to make that decision.
It's fine now, but when they go... Oh my God.
For most of these athletes, cheer is their life. It can't be about who I like the best.
Yeah, right in there.
Oh my God. You look like a bodybuilder.
This one, for me, is staying out. This is your only shot at this. Are we happy with this then? We are great cheerleaders. We are capable of competing.
I can't switch off, you know. I'll be doing the routine, I think, in my...
Okay, I'm doing the routine.
I got to see your beautiful film on the big screen. It was so lovely. Thank you so much for chatting with us, first of all.
Thanks for having me.
So this is going to be your release now on the 17th. Can you talk to me about, before we get into the film, and I want to do a kind of deep dive, I'd like to just chat about you and your background as a filmmaker first.
Okay.
So I was wondering if you could just tell me a little bit about your kind of journey here.
How did I get into filmmaking? So how it all started was I did work experience. So in RTE in fourth year in school. So my granny was a cleaner in RTE and she got me work experience placement. And I was working on the Den, you know, Ray Darcy, Zig and Zag, that kind of crack. And I was so shy and so awkward. Every time anyone spoke to me, I'd blush. But I got completely engrossed in the whole process. Once you got to see, it wasn't the same behind the scenes as it is on the screen. And that was it. I was bitten by the bug. So I went off and I did a degree in accounting and human resource management. Of course I did, because, you know, my parents wanted me to do that. So I did that. And then we agreed that once I had something solid under my belt, I could pursue other avenues. And I got into filmmaking and I worked in a documentary production company called Loopline Films. And a director called Tanya Doyle and producer Martina Durack were so lovely to me, and they really helped me along the way. And that's how I started. That's how I started in film. I worked in camera departments. I had the great privilege of being a camera assistant, a camera trainee, really, I suppose, for Tim Fleming. So I did a lot of work on kind of different camera, you know, narrative scripted films, and. Then I started making films. Myself and my partner, Daniel Hegarty, he's producer of Eat, Sleep, Cheer, Repeat, set up a company called Marmalade Films. And now Marmalade is myself and Daniel and Sinead Nivreen. Sinead's another producer on Eat, Sleep, Cheer, Repeat. And we have the production company, and now we make documentaries.
Tell me a little bit about setting that up and building yourself to getting there. So you shorts that went on to do a brilliant success, and you do commercial work as well. How do you balance all that under Marmalade Films?
So I got the chance to make a feature document. Well, it wasn't a feature. It was a TV hour actually called The House, and that was the impetus behind setting up the production company. And then, in order to, I suppose, to keep everything, to keep the show on the road, or the lights on, as they say, we do everything. You know, corporate content. So we're moving into scripted narratives. So we're looking at making a couple of shorts. We've made short documentaries. It's just, look, like everybody in this industry, you just keep juggling the plates, you know.
I noticed you do there's a lot of like physicality to that subject matters. It's a lot of women's stories. Like, do you find like that extends out? Like, what are your other themes that you love to explore? And
So look, people are what we want to make films about in any guise. Like we made a series for TG Cahir a while ago now, called Be a Dúchais, and that was like a celebration of food. So it was ostensibly a piece about looking at the different staples in the Irish diet, but that then became about the people who make all the food, you know. So it's just interesting, you know. I'm very nosy, like asking questions. It's safe to be behind the camera because you know you have a little bit of a shield, but then you get to meet different people unintentionally. I think a lot of my work, the themes are about, yeah, it's about women, it's about class, it's about it's an underdog story, but there's always kind of a little bit of humor. That's what I really like. I like just the pleasure, and it's, yeah, we're so lucky that we get to do this. Do you know what I mean? Like you get to just go in and meet people in their space where they feel comfortable and have the chats, and that's really what we want to explore. We have new projects coming through the company at the minute, and you know there's much bigger themes. But again, like you know, it's about environmental issues and different kind of social identities. But ultimately, it all still comes down to people.
tell me a little bit about the shorts. I find it interesting that it's something that you would get into after kind of doing such longer form documentaries. Was that an itch that you wanted to scratch as a filmmaker? Was that you saw stories and wanted to like look and investigate them in a different way?
It's so there's two reasons you do a short. It's because you know that there's something amazing and it's a story that needs to be told, but it might not have evolved, or it might not have the legs to be a feature piece, but you know it's something deadly and it's something that you want to make. So that's one reason. And then with the narrative work, or the scripted work, I should say, because they're all stories. With the scripted work, I haven't done it before, so it's just to do it and to see what the crack is. But I will never ever not make documentaries because it's such an amazing thing to do. And when else are you going to get to be that nosy, really, and be paid for it? Do you know?
And do you find, as a documentary filmmaker in general, you're prepping your stories as you go along, where you're going, oh, I hope this happens because then I'm gonna, like where you're almost writing the narrative as you're watching it?
I think it's all about identifying a very clear structure. So yeah, it is like, it's not like you're writing it, but you're kind of going, well, that'll be first act, that'll be second act, you know, that'll be a third, or that'll be something separate. When you see it, you just feel it, you know, and you're going, oh, I know I have something deadly there. I know I have something great, or that really works, or that's really profound, or oh my God, I can't believe that happened. All of that's happening in front of you, and you're collecting and collecting, you know, and you go into the edit and I make notes, but you have really detailed kind of ideas that what you want, and then you start putting them together, and will it work, will it not? So although you spend a lot of time with people when you're shooting and when you're developing relationships, you spend all that time, a lot of the actual the crafting of the story is in the edit, because you've thought about ideas, or things have happened and you've captured them, and or sometimes things have happened and you haven't captured them and you think you have, and it's just not as strong, or you can't clearly communicate it, and you have to let that go. But when you know you have something, and then when you bring it into the edit and it works, it's just amazing. It's just the best thing ever. Yeah, yeah.
And when it comes to like hunting out those stories and across all those different forms, is that something you would say is learned? Is it instinctual? Is it a mix of both?
I think it is a mix of both, right? So I also work as the head of faculty of creative arts and screen media in Griffith College, and we have great programs where you try and teach people the craft of filmmaking, but there is also an argument that it's instinctual. So if you can put both of those things together, if you can put the instinct and an understanding of like story structure and craft together, you're onto a winner. You know what I mean? But some people just can do it. Some people they just can, and that's amazing. I'm not necessarily one of those people. Like I like to feel secure in knowing that I've a structure and I have an idea. You know what I mean? But some people can, and that's excellent. But it's a bit of both, I think.
You touched on something very interesting there about, because I know you went back and you did a master's in documentary, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So was that so that you could teach? Was that so that you wanted to up your skills or your conscious ability? What was the kind of thought process?
because everything before that it was to create or to fill a kind of a sense that, you know, I had gaps in my learning because I was just making films. So before that, like I was saying, I have a degree in accounting and HR management. So I was doing that, but I wanted to make films. So it was kind of going, am I doing this right? It was a bit of validation, you know, that was really why I did it. And I studied in Goldsmiths in London, and I had an amazing time, and I met amazing people, and I have like a whole international network of people that came from that, which was deadly. But I think you can either do it or you can't. Yeah. So it's back to I went and I studied. I think a lot of it was about validation. Yeah, just to feel that I was doing okay. You know what I mean? It's just like, am I blagging my way here? You know what I mean? Doubting myself, but I don't know if I don't think I was.
As an educator, what would you see as being important things to instill on the younger generation? It must be very like strange to look at people starting their journey and say, I remember being there and being that awkward, uncomfortable person, or the person that like maybe thought they knew more and then realized they didn't.
Yes, and yes. I think that the key to it is collaboration, being able to work with people, being open to everybody else's idea, and being able to listen to when other people are talking to you. Because sometimes their ideas are better than yours, you know, and just being willing to take it on and to kind of to adapt and to work with other people. Because when we're making films, you're never making it by yourself. You're never making it on your own. You know, it isn't. And maybe it's possible to do that, but for me, for the sustainability of it and for the longevity of a career, you need to be able to work with people. And I think that's a skill that you really have to hone, you know, and just being able to listen. Everything else you can learn.
And would you see, like, say that next generation, because technology changes so much. So as you're sort of watching them go through the process, like it's just they'd be the main skills you'd recommend, say, people focus on is
soft skills.
Yeah.
Being able to talk to people and being able to listen to people and being able to engage with people, and like even like, but like the reason that I make films is so I can be with people, you know what I mean? And so it's like joining the circus, so you can be carried along with your crew of people and with people who want to tell a story or want their story or their voice to be heard. So it is all about human interaction, the whole thing. It's about being able to listen and hear and engage and enjoy people. You know, like I really think that's what it is. And I think if it resonates with, so when you're watching it on the screen and if something resonates with you, it's an emotional reaction. It's a response that there's a connection. And the only way to do that is to connect with people and to be with people.
And you certainly are in Eat, Sleep, Cheer, Repeat, in the sense where you really, I think in some ways captured a moment in time. You know, we all said Gen Z really suffered with in terms of COVID and what they had to give up, and you captured that moment in time, and then and through a very kind of personal, emotional journey in some ways. Talk to me about how this started from an idea and developed into your pitch or your documentary.
So I was a majorette. So when I was younger, I was a majorette, and I still would be pally with or know some of the girls that I was a majorette with, right? So when we were looking at a project idea, it was about women in sport in some guise, right? And my touchstone for women in sport was the majorettes. So I was saying it to Sinead and Daniel, what is there anything in this area? And we were researching, and what it looked to be, no, the cheerleading is not majorettes, right? But it's very similar insofar as you have to, you know, like part of the uniform is hair and makeup and tan, and it's sparkly and it's showy. And that's just like, for me, that's what I loved about the majorettes. You know, you get dressed up to go out and do your routine. But with cheer, then it is about the athleticism. So we're like, tick, that's women in sport, do you know, like, but it's really women in sport. So the whole process was then about doing the research, finding out if there was a story in it, what the characters were like, if there was something, you know, if we were making a sports documentary, what are they working towards? What's the competition? What's the big goal? So we did the research. We found that, everything that we needed was there. So then it comes down to writing proposals and speaking to commissioning editors and submitting proposals, and then just waiting and seeing and hoping, and that is the process, you know. And then once you get the green light, it's about, okay, what can we do? You know, like, what's the time frame? And then it's about getting the people on board, because a lot of the people in this project, in this film, a lot of the people were young, under 18. So it's again about meeting them, meeting their parents, and seeing if they would be happy for us to make this film and to engage with their children on that level. But for us, we were so blessed to have Hilton, who is the head coach of Team Ireland, and we met Hilton at a competition in Belfast. And Hilton is just he's so charismatic, and he was keen on the idea and understood what we were trying to do. And it was through Hilton that we basically got to go into this world and to meet all the different people, and then we just took from there. And then it was like, for us, COVID in a way was a bit of like, if it had its ups and downs, like but the positives that you take from the COVID experience was that it gave us more time to build relationships. It gave us more time to get to know these people so well, and for them to know that we weren't out to do anything harmful or dangerous or damaging to them, and to build genuine, authentic relationships. And I think that's what really comes through in the film.
And actually, talk to me a little bit about that application process. So, yeah, I actually think that's very interesting that you're putting this together. You have Hilton, but like very much so that team always seems to change. Like people are getting older, they're leaving the team. What if they hadn't qualified? Do you know, like, do you have like backup plans for everything as you're putting in for funding? And where were the avenues of funding that you were going to?
So for us, the prime sources of funding. So again, Daniel is the producer, Sinead is the producer. So they're the guys who are looking after the funding proposals. But our main sources of funding, it's Screen Ireland, RTE, Section 481, and Commission of Mon BAI. They're the sources of funding. So it's navigating your way through all of those, and once you get one, you can build on them. So once somebody has belief in the project and is willing to engage in the process, then you just keep on building the war chest, and you get the funds together that are necessary. And with the characters, we did change. Everybody changed. They're the whole idea is that women leave sports really early. Women usually leave this sporting arena like by the age of 16. So this project was taking a long time to get financed, and then we had COVID. So we did lose a lot of people. And like you're saying, if they didn't get through the process, and if they didn't, get to the World Championships, and if they didn't do so well at the World Championships, what would have happened? Who knows? That's the beauty of observational documentary. You get to watch, and you get to kind of explore different themes and narratives and stories and potential stories. And we got to work with so many other people. We had other characters, other narratives that we were running at the same time, because we didn't know what was going to happen. And then it's like we thought that this whole project would happen within maybe a year, once we got greenlit on the funding. But then COVID, so we had to, it took us 5 years. So the whole process changed, and here we are. So it's the like half the filmmaking is the funding process, and then the distribution process. So you have the filmmaking process in the middle, which is a third, but you have the filmmaking process in the middle. But it's everything around that kind of that helps it have a life, and helps it be achieved, and then be seen outside of your immediate family and friends.
Yeah, and that I suppose with Commissioning on, it's you have your broadcast sort of, you're kind of tied in, and RT, or I presume RT are locked into broadcasting it, so you're going to have an audience, and then finding your audience. So you're talking about like distributing this. Is that all something that you will have built a kind of campaign or a prep plan into before you start shooting, even before you kind of take out your camera from the bag on the first day?
Well, just because of the nature, it's all project specific, but just because of the nature of this project, we knew that there would be, we'd be able to reach our audience predominantly through social media. The age demographic and the nature of the project. So we did in our proposals identify, the distribution, or the kind of advertising or promotional element of social media. Yeah, absolutely. But it's project specific. Yeah.
And then getting into it, so you're set back by COVID. And it sounded, well, like there was a lot of work that went in before you even were able to do the applications, if you're out there networking, because the subject. And I presume with documentary, you always have to be able to pivot, because nothing happens exactly the way that you think it will. Was there anything that sort of, like changed the project as you were going around it besides COVID? Was there any like little elements that maybe shifted in terms of what you were aiming for in the beginning?
Oh, people leaving. So you have a main character that you've been filming with for 3 years, and they're like, I'm going to leave cheer. you know, and then you're kind of going, yeah, but we haven't enough to make a strong narrative strand out of you. You're amazing and we want you in this film, but we don't have enough material with you. That happened to us on more than one occasion. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'd say that's heartbreaking.
Hard. That's really hard, and it's but you know, it's people and their lives, and they're the making of the like we in Marmalade had to will this film into being, and if we didn't have the support from Hilton and Jamie, Hilton is the coach, Jamie is the manager of Team Ireland, it could not have happened because everything just kept changing, you know. So it's the production company, myself, Daniel, and Sinead, who are the production company. It's just you have to will that into being, and you do have to adapt. And you know, there are so many different things that changed. The process took 5 years. The project, the film that we have now is very different to the original idea, but there's still core tenets that are there. You know, we knew we wanted to make a film about people coming of age. We wanted to kind of highlight women in sport. We wanted it to be a representation of what it is to be young in Ireland now. They were the kind of three core strands that we were looking at. And then also a little bit of sparkle there just for, you know, for the entertainment element, you know, it's because we wanted it to be something that that would be like, you know, appealing to a general audience, you know, and that's hopefully what it is.
I was gonna say, Jesus, you couldn't like, I don't want to give too much away, but there's one young cheerleader who, you know, like you're following him from the beginning and like there's the twists and turns and you're like, Jesus, she couldn't have written that better. I was thinking that when I was watching the film, I was like, you couldn't have written his arc to be more like
It was
like
handed to us.
interesting and how much it worked. So what you were saying is you like that's the graft of you were filming everybody and that's just like maybe one of the two good ones that sort of kind of like three there was like three really strong ones that had like everything else was beautiful but it was like a subplot but they were like
Three clean arcs. That's exactly
yeah
yeah, that's what it's built around, you know, like, and it's Jayleesa, Rickie, Blathnaid to a lesser degree, and Hilton. Like, you know, that's there are kind of our key arcs, and everybody else is living their lives around that. And I would never call them color because it's so much more than that, you know. But they don't have an arc, you know what I mean, a clean arc. But they bring a lot of kind of emotion. They bring and there's stories in it, you know, and there's things that resonate that you can completely connect with these people, so you understand where they are and you can position it, you know, and it gives a lot of context. But like we'd love it to have been exactly, you know, kind of flawless, but it can't be because it's real life, you know, and you just kind of we have to embrace what that is then.
yeah because you're watching it going Jesus that's not convenient but convenient for you like I was like oh my God that's so good. So tell me like how much filming did you guys have to do and also like a shout out to Eleanor Bowman. Oh, there's just like the power in especially the scenes in America. You're like it's so exciting like it's just
It's
so
amazing.
exciting to watch.
Eleanor is a one woman show. She's phenomenal. Yeah. So where were we going? I just got into a little
Oh
Eleanor
yeah
there.
how much filming did you
Oh,
have to do? Yeah.
we have shot, I think we shot over 160 hours of material because we had to follow all the different strands, you know. So I was shooting, Daniel was shooting, we had the lovely Matt Karan shooting. So, because like it was like we never knew what was going to happen, and they'd go, "Oh, guys, we have an event coming up." They just ring you, you know, and everyone was like, "Right, in the car to Galway, off we go." So there's an awful lot of material. We like genuinely we could have produced a series because there's so many different characters and so many different strands. So it was then when what we decided to do was to kind of limit ourselves. Because we had to put parameters on it, you know, because we had stuff from like 2018 and you couldn't. It just didn't make sense, and we didn't have the time. And then because of what did happen in Florida, we wanted to put a bit of an emphasis on that, you know, so that became our third act. So then it was like, right, let's put parameters on this kind of mammoth animal. So it became that the year. So we put a year structure on it, and that's what happened with it. Yeah. And the film would not be I have to say, for Eleanor, like it just wouldn't be. You could not have made a film if she, like we could have made a film. We couldn't have made this film if it wasn't for her, because the access, there's a scene in the film, and we'd been around the guys for such a long period of time that they're having their spray tans done. And myself and Ellen were just sitting on the end of a bed having the chats while they were like in the showers, or in these little kind of, they're like showers, but like little tents that you have, like you strip off and you go in, and the guys and the girls just having their tans done, you know, and we're just having the chat, and they were totally open to that, and that was because of the rapport that we got to build over time, you know what I mean? So it was amazing.
And it does capture, like, there's nothing that encapsulates more of being an Irish teenage girl, I think, than the tan, the spray tan, and the spectacle of it, like the visual spectacle and the physicality of it. I think that's the thing that really surprised me watching this was the power and the choreography that these young women have. And I think something so interesting, and it's something you mentioned earlier about, like being younger and not having that confidence. But then, like part of what these young women are struggling in is having the confidence to perform on a world stage. And I just think there's so much like universal truth for that. I'm just wondering, is there anything like, was all that in your pitch going in? Were they things that you like dug out yourself, do you think?
Yeah, so some of it was, some of it wasn't. So in the pitch, it was like for us, we never expected these women to be so confident. The uniform for cheer is like a sports bra and short shorts, right? And they're just walking around. They're going to Tesco's, they're going to Iceland in the short shorts and like, or maybe a hoodie over it, like, and that's it. So the body confidence blew my mind, and I was going, "You go, girls! Go green! You're amazing." The level of athleticism I did not expect it. The strength, the power that these women have, like they're so strong. Just from you can do like a standing tuck where you're just standing here, like just standing, and you can turn your body over. Like the strength that takes. So that blew us away. Things like looking for confidence, yeah, we had that in, or being at the crossroads, or searching for kind of clarity, or deciding on your personal identity, and just coming of age themes, because we you know yourself from your lived experience that this is where you are at this point in your life. But they were just so much more confident and so much more content, I would say, in themselves as a group. Now, like the dynamic is interesting, for them, because there's different friendships and there's different dynamics going on within the team. But the space was very much an open space, or a safe space. So whatever was going on outside, you'd come into cheer and you'd get into the routine of doing the warm up exercises and then doing the drills. And I think for all of them, that gave them, it gave them some sort of clarity. And they were all just so driven to get to the World Championships. They spent a year, they spent over 3 years trying to get to this one World Championships because of COVID. So they were very focused on what they were doing. So it was very much a mixed bag. We knew, that it could almost be cliche, at that point in your life, you're unsure, you're self-conscious, you're not sure where you want to go, you're not sure who you want to be. Coming of age, we knew all of that, and we knew to, if you came across that, we were mining that. But just their lived experience now, pressures that I did not expect, social media pressures, but body confidence I thought would have been an issue, but it isn't, because cheer is so inclusive, so you're looking for things, but sometimes they're just not there, but then you get exposed to things that you had no awareness of until you come into this world, where we got to observe it. Yeah.
And what were, say, some of the threads that maybe you had to drop for various reasons? Was there anything that you like, given like a 3-4 episodes, that you would have loved to have like delved into?
There was a character called Shane, so Shane Cullinan, and his dad. And obviously they're in Galway. It's the influence of GAA in rural Ireland. Like a lot of the players are GAA players or represent the county, but Shane had the potential to be anything. He is so fit, he's so athletic, but he loved cheer. And it was his dad used to come to all the competitions, and his dad is involved in GAA, and he used to come to all the competitions to support him. And we were working along with them, and we were filming with Shane and his dad, and we got to a point where they were just working out in the gym together, and his dad was like, "I'm so proud of you. He set up his own business, and it was all through cheer, and he'd left school." And I would have loved to have included Shane in the film in general, but we just couldn't fit everybody in. And then there was a whole other strand with a girl called Olivia. So Olivia, we started filming with her when she was 11, and she's 17 now. And just the physical transformation, and Olivia just deciding what she wanted to be. And she now plays in a band, and she's not as involved in cheer, but she can she still has her friends from cheer, but she's gone down a completely different route. And that would have been lovely to include as well. It's all of the different opportunities and options you have at that stage of your life. And it's just kind of like, sometimes it's just chance, the road you take. So that was really an element we were trying to put in there, but you can't put it all in the time you have.
Now,
you
and
know.
your hundreds of hours of footage. When do you start piecing it together? Is it, like after Florida, when you're in, do you kind of reverse engineer it, or are you piecing it together as you go?
Yeah, we're piecing it as you go because it's so massive, and you need to know what you're looking for as well. So we were absolutely, we had started the edit well before we went to Florida. Yeah, so it's kind of, now we're not editing, well, for me personally, we're not editing all the way through because you need to get some meat together, have some idea of the story or the character development, or have clear scenes because I like to, although you're observing, you just like to start when you're shooting a scene, so that's, you're trying to put a bit of structure on it, wherever, and you might intercut it with other material to develop a theme or a strand, but you are shooting scenes, so it is just waiting until you have something of worth, and then we started building. So we had well started the editing process before we went to Florida.
Having funders and funding kind of continuing on for that amount of time, do you have to justify, do you ever have to come back and say this is where we are? Is there a time frame or something? Do you have to go back and adhere to notes or give cuts or anything like that, or is it sort of left to your?
So yeah, you do, right? So you're going through the process, and you have different cuts, and at different stage, people come back and give you notes. And look, but the notes aren't, they're not directions. It's let's sit down and have a conversation about it, right? So from Screen Ireland, we had Neve Fagan, and Neve was amazing because Neve was very open to the world of cheer, and because it was in the West, and she's from Mayo herself, like she was kind of really on board with the fact that we were representing this kind of niche sport within kind of her community, so she was amazing, and she gave loads of really constructive notes. And then we had Grania McAleer and Sally Roden from RTE, and it was a lot of female voices, and they were great. It was at different stages, so we did a couple of cuts for Grania, and she would come back with us with notes, and then because the project was so long, at some point Sally came, like it was kind of close to the end because Grania was working on loads of projects. Sally came in, and then Sally gave really, really focused notes on the project. But it's like, I am very open to notes because it's really helpful. And sometimes you're just like, I get really precious about lines and what the characters are saying, and I'm kind of willing to fight you for it, and then 2 weeks later I'm come back and I go, why do we have that in there? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just takes me a little bit of time to come to, like, it has to be my decision. It's ridiculous, but I do have to feel like it's my decision.
But that's trusting your internal creative instincts, and you have to really do it, because the worst thing is if you every single time you watch it, you'd be like, oh, I hate that.
Why did I do that?
Yeah.
Like, so there was loads of material in there, and people would go, well, why is that there? And I'd be going, because I really like how she moves her head to the left. And you're like, all right, calm down. Yeah. You just need a little bit of distance from it, you know what I mean? And come back and go, okay, yeah, you might be right there. You might be right. So for me, that's, yeah, you have to go through the process. You have to have cuts at different stages, be open to notes, and I genuinely, I mean, like, genuinely, I don't think there's been a point to, where we've had a note and I've like been going, I can't believe we had to do that. That has never ever happened on this project ever. Like, it felt very collaborative, and in the edit, we had 3 editors on the project because it went on for so long. So we had a woman called Miriam Strugla, and then we had John Murphy, and then we had Johnny O'Connor, who's another editor. So Miriam was there at the beginning, and then I had to obviously go off and work on other projects, and then John Murphy came in. John after Miriam, and John is from Galway himself, and John would kind of, like, he was just picking up on things, just really, really subtle things, and we got to a point where we just had to get it down. We had to have it under 90 minutes. And he did a pass. I have no idea what he got rid of, but it was just like, it was really impressive. Like, he kind of just nuanced it, into the time that we needed it.
And how much did he cut from it? I'm just very interested. How much?
Like, I'd say you got about 10 minutes. Like, but I mean, 10 minutes, I don't know. I genuinely know, I'd be really militant, like, and I'd be watching, and I'd understand, like, because, like, I edit not to the same level that John is, but I could edit myself, and I don't know how he got rid of it. Like, he cut that down. It literally, I think he was taking frames out, you know what I mean? Just to get it down. Yeah, it was, like, for me, it is very much a collaborative. It's a collaborative process, because everybody is bringing something to it. I don't know why happened that. There we go. So
Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
how hard was it to, like you were saying, you got the 10 minutes, but to really, like, whittle away was there kind of sections where you're like, all right, like look, this was what we have to keep, this is what we love, like
Torture. It was
killing
torture.
your darlings as you go.
And the whole edit was like there was so much material. So you just at one point we just had to sit down and everybody together decide that we had to lose characters. And for me that was the hardest part because people have given you so much time and they've really invested in the process with you. So the losing, like it's one thing losing a scene, or once you can communicate the intention and you can get from point A to point B and we've taken something out, that's fine. But losing whole characters was really, really difficult, but then when you're in the editing process, it's a lot of conversation. It's a lot of back and forth. And so for me, like specifically with John, it was like, what are you trying to say here? How can we achieve it? What's important? What's not important? And then it's going, let's distill it down to the bare minimum that it needs to be. And then let's bring it back out again and give it kind of some depth or breadth or, space to do more than just be perfunctory, in telling a story. And that for me is the process, and there's a lot of stickies on the wall, moving the stories and structure around. Yeah. But I had a 1 year, well, like he was born in the May. We had just come back from cheer and we had a brand new baby, like from the World Championships, and we had a brand new baby. So when I say this was the most intense edit in my life, I genuinely mean that. It was.
I'm editing while feeding, like
This happened. This genuinely happened. Yeah, it was a really, really, but it was a great time as well. Like, do you know what I mean? It was just, this is what I'm doing with my life right now. Couldn't be happier. Do you know what I mean? Like we were making, so it was really good. Do you know? It was just a real pleasure to be there and to be able to do it. But when I say it was intense, it was intense. Yeah.
And in terms of editing, when do you know you're finished? Like surely everything is like an infinite number of changes. Like when do you go like, this is it, we've done?
When they say you need to deliver this film, because I would love to go back now and tweak, you know what I mean? Like I think that, yeah, I don't know if for me it's never like it's when it's done, when you have your deadline and your dates, and that's what we're working to. But if I had the chance now, I'd be back there again, kind of tweaking. So you just have to, but like it gets to a point where you're going, yeah, look, this is where we are, and this is we have to let this go and be free in the world. Off it goes by itself.
Tell me about the sound mix as well, because I mean the whole thing is so powerful.
The sound mix happened in Gorilla Post, and that's with Barry Reid and the guy who actually sat in the room and did the mix, Mark. Yeah, so we sat there for hours, and we going, is that a zip? What's that sound? Like, so we went to, it's like what they do is amazing. Like it is really, really nuanced, so. And because of how we shot the documentary, it was really fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. You were ready. It was gun and run like kind of stuff. It was really on the fly. So some of the sound, you'd just still be putting mics on and people would be off running to do tumbles and practice, so it was really, really fast. So the sound mix, yeah, was with Gorilla, but the music, that was with Hugh Drum and Stephen Rennicks. And I made a film a couple of years ago called The House, and they did the music for that, and they, for me, are like, they're just amazing. They're amazing. Like, you say, can I have like a really ethereal plinky plonky sound, and they just come back with loads of different choices, and you're like, how can you read my mind? This is amazing. They're amazing. Like it really is. It's just, and the emotion that the music brings to it, it has a profound effect, and it changes everything. It just amplifies everything. So, and working with them, you're sending them scenes, you're sending them notes saying, this is what I'm hoping for, and they come back and it just slides right in. It's that is magic.
And in terms of documentary, do you have to clear some of the songs that feature in the background or anything like that to you? Is that like, how hard is that? Because it's a lot of music. That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh God, there's a lot. Like, I mean, the whole thing is kind of hindered on the songs.
That's the amazing Sinead and Daniel once again. Yeah. So no, yeah, they went through everything. So anything we couldn't clear, Stephen and Hugh made a piece of music and we replaced it, because you have to clear everything, and there's so much music. And in the world of cheer, it's all this kind of really intense techno, really fast music. So we had to have a lot of music replaced, and the cost of some of the music that we would have liked, we couldn't afford. So Stephen and Hugh just made music for us. Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah.
And is there anything in the edit process that you would have liked more time with, or like, is there anything that you would have been like, oh, I would have actually gone out and reshot that or done? Is there anything that if you had a magic wand that you could have waved, you would have went, I would have fixed these things or done something differently?
Blathnaid is one of the characters, and Blathnaid's arc for me, I would have just loved to have sat down, and just talk to Blathnaid again, and just going, give me the minutiae of your thoughts here, talk to me about all of the different motivations and reasons that you do things, and we just because Blathnaid is a very physical person, and we didn't have that material. We couldn't get that material during the process of making it, and Blonde had left the country and wasn't available. So I would have loved to do that, just to, because I feel like I didn't necessarily give her enough space or give her a clear arc. So, but we have to have parameters, and yeah. So we couldn't. And I also would have loved to have spoken to Jayleesa's mom, Stacey. Because like Jayleesa's mom, everything she did was because she loved her daughter. And the choices are the choices, and and it's all about, I would have liked to talk to her about why she did what she did, but we decided though that it was going to be the voices of the cheerleaders as opposed to all of the parents, and it couldn't be that, it wasn't about them, but I would love to have included that with Stacey, Jayleesa's mom. But again, you have to let Jayleesa speak for herself, so that's, we made a decision not to do that. Yeah.
God, that's so, yeah, there is that kind of yeah, that it's their perspective. Is there like, is there any advice that you'd give yourself now at the other end of it to yourself as you're starting out, that's like, oh, make sure you get that, like, what are the kind of, like, if you did a little time machine that you could,
Do you
that
know
you
what?
could,
Yeah, if I could go back and talk to myself 5 years ago, but like, just because you think, so for me, I was like, some of the things like that I think we didn't get, I was afraid that they were cliche, like we did a lot of kind of like master interviews, we did all of that, but I was very conscious in that I wanted to make the film feel purely observational. So it's like, just because you feel like it might be cliche, the reason is it feels cliche or overused, or like I was kind of going, oh, it's too parochial to have sit down interviews. Don't be ridiculous. Just go and do that. These are tools and techniques, and you can use them, and they work. So don't use them. You know what I mean? Like that's what I would say to myself. And if you feel like Stacey, absolutely, I think that was the right choice not to go back and speak to Stacey, because it had to come from the younger generation's perspective. But it's better to have it than to look for it. You know what I mean? So that would be the key thing. Just like, we shot a lot of material, but again, I was shooting with Jayleesa, and I didn't know she was going to be such a prime character. She was a great character, but I didn't know she was going to be so pivotal to the narrative. And the same with Rickie. So you can do what you can do, and just it evolves into the piece that it is. So I don't know what else we could have done, or what we could have done differently.
tell me about now watching it in diff with the crowd, to, you were so long with this material. Was it nerve-wracking? Was it very exciting?
So for me, like, I love the film. I love it now. I really do. I mean that genuinely. Like, I think it's amazing what we have, and that all the characters, or all the people that were involved in it, gave us so much. But I just really struggle being with people when they watch it. When anything, it's just because you're going, oh, I can't tell if anyone likes it. And like, part of me is going, doesn't matter. It is what it is, and it is the process. And we made something, and it's nice, and I like it. But I don't know. At diff, I struggled through the whole process. I was kind of under the chair going, oh, do they like it? Do they like it? And I don't know if they do or don't. I hope people enjoy it. I hope to get something from it. I really, really struggle with kind of being the center of attention. So I don't know. Yeah.
That's why you're behind the camera, so you can just like pass it off. Am I? These are terrible. Where you're being grilled. But no, I think that's very interesting. Like, what was the feedback like from the people in it, especially? I'd say that would be the most nerve-wracking moment of all.
That for me, that was the really, really nerve-wracking process. So we showed it we had a kind of cast and crew screening in Galway a couple of weeks before diff. And I couldn't sleep the night beforehand. I was so worried about what they were going to think, and we were in the cinema, and people were crying, and they were whooping and cheering for themselves. And I was going, oh, this is good. This is really good now. So for me, that was the pinnacle. That was the best moment. So they love it. And they like, the fact that we're going to have a gala screening in Galway this week, and they're all, you know, we're still WhatsApping, you know, and they're all talking about what they're going to wear. So it'll be a glamorous event. So I'm once they're happy with it, it's excellent. It really is. Yeah.
And it's glamour, romance, physicality, pain, ecstaticness. Like it has everything, and it's so visual and like exciting. That's definitely one for the big screen.
Oh, it is. And it looks amazing, like what they can do. And you can physically see, like, you know, their strength and their presence there, you know, and they have plenty to say for themselves. You know, that's great.
Oh, so definitely. Thank you so much for chatting with us. It's such a beautiful film.
Oh, thanks a million.
And thank you so much for listening. Visit filmireland.ie where you can subscribe to our newsletter, find out more about Irish cinema, and never miss another podcast.